Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with atbbq.com, and this is Chili Blanco. Chili Blanco is a white chicken chili. It's really hearty, it's rich and delicious, and it's got a lot of those sort of Southwestern Tex-Mex flavors going on that I love so much. We're gonna start this thing off with a base of onions and chilies, and we'll build on that with some grilled chicken, some white beans, chicken stock, we've got a couple cheeses, a lot of great seasonings and herbs. And we're gonna do it all on the grill. But we're gonna start this thing off with the grilled chicken. We're gonna start off with about 2 pounds of chicken here. I've got boneless, skinless breast today, and I would recommend that you either go with that or with chicken thighs, both of which I really enjoy. But I'll tell you why here in just a minute as we kind of trim these things up. So we're gonna get rid of any excess lines here, any of this fat, we don't need any of that. Any of that stuff that came off the breastbone, we don't need any of that. All right, so I'm just getting rid of any of the chewy stuff. That looks pretty good. Now what I wanna do next, and this is only if you're using the breast, is I'm going to cut these in half horizontally. And the reason I'm doing this is because now I have twice as much surface area to work with, which means I can get twice as much flavor and char into this chili. Now, if you were using chicken thighs, you would want to go with the boneless chicken thighs, and what you'd get with that is something that's about the same thickness, but it gives you a lot of surface area to work with. All right, so we're just gonna lay these out here, hit them with a little bit of the spray duck fat for binder, get that rub really to stick. And then we're coming in with the Cattleman's Carne, 8-second ride. So just a bit of salt and a bit of heat on these. We've got plenty more flavors to incorporate once we get into the chili itself. Let's head over to the grill and check out the setup. So today we're cooking on the Yoder Smoker's YS640 pellet grill. As you can see, we've got a direct setup here with the flame coming through the grill grates. On the right side, we're set up indirect, but that's not so important. What's more important is that you've got direct heat on the left here for grilling, and then we're gonna put our Dutch oven in to preheat. We wanna give that Dutch oven a little bit of time to absorb some of the heat so that it's ready to cook on when we're ready to start the soup. We're gonna do the chicken first, and we'll leave that in there the whole time while we're cooking the chicken. All right, we're gonna throw these chicken cutlets on right over the flame. Trying to get some of these thicker ones over the hot heat. And for the time being, we're gonna leave this door open so that we can soak up as much of that char and flame on the outside as possible without overcooking the center of the chicken. So it doesn't make any sense for us to put all kinds of char and color on the outside if we also have to overcook the chicken in the process. So you gotta be careful about how you do this. You close the door, that internal temperature skyrockets, so leave it open. Getting some good color on that first side, so we'll flip these over. I'm gonna try and keep the fat into the chicken down here by the flame where it's the hottest so that we don't totally char the tips there. And we'll look to get some more of this nice char color on the other side. So what you're looking for is about 160 on these, but they really should have some nice char. And you just don't wanna get them too overdone because they're gonna continue to cook just a little bit once we get them into the chili. And you can see the great color that's on the outside of this chicken, and it smells amazing too. And the reason why we grill this before we put it in with the chili is just to get all of those things into the flavor of the chili. I mean, if we just threw these in raw, diced them up or whatever, we could totally cook them in the chili just like that, but we'd miss out on all of that flavor and all of that char. Now here's the base of our chili. We've got about 3/4 pound each of onion and Anaheim peppers here. We've also got a jalapeno that we're gonna add for a little bit of heat. And with the yellow onion and the Anaheim, we're looking for about a medium dice on those. And then they can all go into the bowl together. And then with the Anaheims, we're just gonna get rid of those seeds and ribs on the inside and dice the flesh. Now this is a place where you have another opportunity to bring in some more smoke and flavor if you're so inclined by fire roasting these before dicing them up. You could actually brown or blacken these over the flame and then put them in a bag, steam them, and peel the skins off. You get a little bit of extra smokiness that way, but that is gonna add probably another half hour of work onto this cook. So for the sake of time today, we're just gonna dice these up raw, and we'll still get plenty of great flavor out of them. And then for the jalapeno, we're gonna break this down just a little bit smaller. I'll go ahead and remove the seeds today. And right in there with the rest of the chilies and the onions. I want to slide our Dutch oven right over the top of the flame here. And then we're going to add a couple tablespoons of our EVOO. You see that it's plenty hot, already getting a little bit of smoke. We're adding our veggies now, for our onions and chilies. And then before we leave our onions and chilies alone to cook down, we're going to put a little bit of seasoning in there, starting with a tablespoon of the AP rub. And you can think of this as kind of a nice salt base with a little extra garlic and a little extra flavor. We've got some ground cumin and some Mexican oregano. So that's where our flavor base is going to come from, with a little bit of extra salt. So we'll give that a good stir. And we're going to close up the lid and let our onions begin to soften until they're translucent. And while the onions and peppers are cooking down, we'll dice up our grilled chicken. And all that juice collected on the plate from where the chicken was resting. Pure flavor. And for this next step, we're also adding the beans with the chicken. These are great northern beans. I've got 2 cans that I've rinsed. You could also use pinto beans. I really like those as well. And we're gonna add the garlic at this point as well. We've got about 4 cloves here minced up. See everything softening up here. We're even getting a little bit of color from the bottom, which is great. Probably just a couple more minutes here until we're ready to add the chicken, beans, and garlic. All right, everything's softened up in here. The onions are looking translucent. So we're gonna add to the pot our beans, our garlic, and our chicken. Give this a good stir. And we're just gonna try to cook the raw off that garlic here for the next minute or so before we move on. So just give it about 60 seconds and the garlic becomes very aromatic, letting you know that it's kind of waking up. At this point, I want to build our sort of lazy man's roux around what's already going on in the skillet. So I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of butter here, and we'll stir that in to melt. And 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. And we need to give that a couple of minutes to also cook that raw flavor out of, so we're not tasting raw flavor in a finished product. It's going to become very thick as you stir it. It's also what's going to cause our soup to turn into a real chili, really thicken things up. So now we're ready for our chicken stock. We're adding 1/4 chicken stock. Give this a stir, bring it up to a simmer, and watch it all start to thicken into a chili consistency. And we'll soon be putting the Blanco into our chili Blanco. Now it's all moving pretty quick at this point. As soon as you get that simmer going on, it starts to thicken, and you're gonna wanna add 1 cup of heavy cream and 8 ounces of cream cheese. This is where the rich and creamy comes in. So we're gonna stir to melt this cream cheese and just let it simmer along. At this point, there's lots of good stuff happening. That cheese is melting down, all those flavors are getting to know one another. There's no scorching going on the bottom, and you wanna make sure you're scraping the bottom to make sure it's not getting too hot. If it is, you can always move it off to the indirect side of the grill. We're just gonna let this simmer away, maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes, let everything get to know each other inside there. We'll be ready to pull this thing off and finish it. All right, chili is really just about ready to come off. Thickened up very nicely. I'm gonna throw a few tortillas on. Shout out to Carmelo and Lawrence, Kansas for sending us some of these fantastic pork fat flour tortillas, handmade, incredibly delicious. We're just gonna crisp these up a little bit and they're gonna go perfect with the chili. We have just a couple of finishing touches left on the chili, and most importantly, you gotta taste your food. Taste, taste, taste. Before you serve it to anyone you love or like or even care about a little bit, taste your food. We're gonna add about a half cup of minced cilantro here. And just for good measure, how about a cup of pepper jack cheese? Man, the aromas coming off this are just incredible, and it's amazing just how much of that char I'm getting out of the grilled chicken. I mean, it's really key when it comes to making this chili Blanco. Man. Is it wrong that decadent comes to mind? Doesn't seem like a word you'd use to describe chili, but so decadent. Not something you're gonna eat 3 nights a week, but great for special occasions. I feel like the salt level's right there where I want it to be. The only thing I could use is a little bit of extra heat, but I really like to add a little bit of hot sauce or pickled jalapeno into the individual bowls. That way everyone kind of gets what they want. So we'll just kind of finish this off with a little bit more cilantro here. A few pickled jalapenos if you're so inclined. And I'm gonna hit it with the filet volcano for that smoky tang and a little bit of heat. All right, I'm gonna grab this tortilla and get the full effect. Freaking ridiculous. Hey, thank you guys so much for tuning in for the Chili Blanco magic. If you enjoyed that recipe, be sure to check out atbbq.com for all of the seasonings, all of the tools, the grills, and everything you see featured in today's video. If you liked the video, hit that subscribe button, and if you have any questions or comments or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comments section down below, and let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to thesauce.atbbq.com. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.